Okay, so let's look at the first question. When you were looking for something before you found Kokoro, what were you looking for?
I was looking for greater insights to be able to put into words or to better express what I feel on the inside and becoming my better self, my best self.
Hmm. Right, a way to communicate what you're feeling,
Yeah,
thinking, and maybe along the
yeah,
lines of that emotional intelligence.
yes.
Awesome. Yeah.
And then maybe to add that going through a divorce and then being able to at that time with my first divorce, knowing that there's something more and then finishing up my degree in recreation therapy, I wanted to add to what I was learning that there's areas that we can enjoy and grow in. And so what that's something I noticed with you and Kyle that you guys want to enjoy life. And so when you guys started explaining about your situation, I was and what you're doing, I'm like, I can see how they go together. So
Awesome.
bringing joy as we're learning and growing through these these trials or challenges of mortality.
Yeah.
And then what I'm learning, if there's a good then believing that there is a way to change, but not always knowing how.
Interesting.
So so I think that's where once you and Kyle began explaining that, I was like, I'd like to experience that. And then I'll always remember that first one-on-one session
Yeah.
where it was made more clear to me that a lot of my fears began even before I began to speak.
Yes.
And you help me to see that and see the steps to truly forgive,
Mm,
let go of that hurt that I felt at such a young age that
yeah.
I didn't even know how to put into words. So that was a that was a big step for our journey here in Kokoro
Awesome.
Creators.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much that happens in that young age, and we don't even know. It's all trapped in there and stuck in our subconscious. And how do we find it? So, yeah, that's definitely awesome.
And then you helped me to see how to word it so that I was not so judgmental with my dad.
Mm,
And and then I was more and then I opened up with you about I think that's what I was going through my divorce. Is I
yeah.
actually was I could relate with my dad because I don't think he communicated well with my mom or wasn't able to, maybe because of the way he grew.
Mhm.
And so not to be so judgmental on him. And that it was a big eye opener for me that you helped me to see that I can envision what he probably really wanted to do at that moment. And then was able to visualize. You helped me to think it through. And I saw my dad giving my mom a hug. And I'm like probably 1.5 years old. My mom's holding me. I mean, I was able to visualize truly forgiveness, like letting go and knowing that my dad really meant to just show love. And
Wow.
then because of my pain in my marriages, that's something that I've been able to see that that's what I felt I wanted to do, but again, it was hard to put into words. And
Hmm.
so this is a good step to help us understand how to verbalize, communicate these emotions that we're going through.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that those feelings sometimes are so deep that it's like that big challenge of how to get them out of your mouth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all those things that you experience. So I'm curious with your background with recreational therapy, how does this program connect with what is meaningful for you?
And then this is where we kind of touched on this just recently, but
Yeah.
um, in the sense that to be in recreation therapy and have a TRT, therapeutic recreation technician license, you're you're required to take a suicide prevention course. And and again, because of the struggles that I've been through, I could see how without the right understanding of your value, you would. It's sad, but I can see how some people without hope or understanding of who they are, they can get attacked with those dark thoughts that
Yeah.
there is no value in their life, and then they think that that's the only option that they have.
Mhm.
And so now that I've been in the process of keeping current in my license, this last time that I redid this course, it just hit me really deeply that that's why I like about recreation is because you find out what you like inside of you that brings you joy. So that's recreation, things
Mhm.
that just for the pure joy of doing it is why you do it. And Kokoro Creators, the concept of bringing others together. There's a really good community, and that's also very important for suicide prevention is feeling connection and knowing that there's others that are going through similar situations that you're going through. And then just over since I've known you and Kyle, it's been over a year as I've participated almost a year. I feel that friendship with everyone that's got on the in the community on Zoom.
Mhm.
And so I feel like I don't feel like I'm alone. That's what I've really enjoyed too in relation to recreation is finding out what brings you joy. And then the Kokoro creators is helping you to learn to address the things you don't necessarily like.
Mm.
And then that's where there's that community so that because in suicide prevention, if you feel like you're the only one going through it, it's even darker.
Yeah.
But I don't feel that with this community. Like that's so I like how it combines. We want to see what brings you joy,
Mm.
focus on the recreational side,
Mm.
or that's how I'm relating to it. It's like, okay, what brings joy? And then if I'm struggling, then how do I work through it? And those that have been in the community, and even like what I want to emphasize too is extra connections with other outsource that have gone through their own challenges, and the fire walking the most recently. It just is so encouraging to see that how we can relate the metaphors of our challenges to, or the walking on fire, for example. Some people think that's impossible, but
Yeah.
we were taught, and you and Kyle in this community is helping prepare us to bring our vibrations and the frequencies higher. Not so much that we're overpowering the elements, but we're learning to learn where we've learned and are learning to connect with the elements
Mm.
and be more like the fire. We didn't have to be afraid of the fire, but just be at peace with the fire, and it didn't burn us.
That's
So
so cool. Yeah.
that was another thing that I like about you and Kyle is that
Yeah.
we like
It
to reach
was.
out and
Mhm.
incorporate other ideas as well.
Yeah, that collaboration feeling and that community, definitely. In fact, we did an interview earlier today with someone else that said almost exactly that same thing. That feeling of community and that connection was the reason why he was able to feel safe. And that
Yeah.
the pivotal moment of his transformation when he recognized that he was safe, learning to use his voice. So for you, what do you feel like has been the pivotal moment from your before story where you were going through some of that darkness and feeling alone, knowing all the resources and the tools that we have in our program, our community, our weekly
Right.
sessions and the 5-day challenge and the 6-week meditation program, what do you feel like has been most pivotal for you as far as being able to create that transformation for yourself?
Wow. I would have to say it's hard to put it to one thing because the way you got it set up, it kind of helps on each area. Like the music has been helpful for me, and and I've also had a dream to be developing my music, so that's been encouraging to me. And then working with Noah and finding out that he's a pilot, and that's one of my dreams. So I see all these opportunities ahead of me that others have already gone down that road.
Mhm.
So I want to say it's more of not just one thing, but more of a transitioning process, and that what used to seem more stressful is not as stressful. So I
Yeah.
would say it's more of a gradual, and that's I want to keep reminding myself that
Mhm.
because sometimes in my own journey in the past, I want to just change right away. Where
Yeah.
this is where I'm sensing with us all working together that it's a process and we can be patient. Or even the way I like even how you put it is like the messy middle.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard of that concept until you guys brought it up. And that's okay, to be able
Mhm.
to acknowledge that that's part of the process.
Definitely.
And then so it's I don't know if I could say other than that at the very beginning, I hadn't realized that I was hanging on to that hurt from my early childhood. And then when you said just recently that you're going to work on that as part of Kokoro Creators, a program for to understand those emotions better in our childhood.
Yeah.
Because I think I really believe that's we need to work with that because those first 7 years are so vital. And if we can have a good foundation, then we're going to help generations. You know, that's how we grow in a good legacy with our posterity.
Mm.
That's my belief. And that's what I'm working with my marriage. Now that I've remarried and my
Uh-huh.
wife and we got our different challenges, but it's like, I might have even shared this example before, and that's how I like to use with Kokoro Creators is that it's like it's a continuing process. It's just the analogy of like you don't take a shower once and you're done being clean for the rest of your
Hmm.
life.
Right?
It's like we need to shower on a regular basis to stay clean and refreshed. And so, our weekly coming back on Mondays, that's how it's worked with me, is it's like a refreshing, a good, like a shower.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you use light, and I
Hmm.
like how you help us to go inside of our minds
Hmm.
and see color, and that's the artist side of me coming out because I'm like going, I've seen those things, but not how to describe the way that you're able to do that. So
Hmm.
I would say it's a combination of all the things that you just if you want to hear the meditations, you have that set up. If you
Yeah.
want to listen to music, build up our frequencies, our vibrations, we can do that.
Mm, I love.
So I'm going to say it's all, and I just to remind myself to keep being patient because I do see that I'm changing. My thoughts were at the very beginning,
Mhm.
but then that's where you can say that's part of the messy middle in a
Exactly.
good way. It's
Yeah,
positive.
and it just is the same as that darkness to light picture with the clouds
Yeah,
and the sun. It
it's
is
not.
gradual. It is a constant uphill effort, and we do grow little by little. And just having compassion, you are able to discover that
Yeah,
part of you, and it's just going to keep getting better and better. I'm so excited. That's awesome. Do you feel like there's other parts of your life that are getting better? I know relationships are hugely important to you. Do you notice this going into areas of work or other areas of your life?
yes. And so, well, now relating back to my dream to be a pilot, I think I've just been afraid to, you want to, I mean, I want to learn, but then I get to a certain point and it seems like it felt overwhelming, all the
Mhm.
learning and all the responsibility that I'm going to do in whatever profession I was going to go into. And so my first dream was to be a pilot. And so this last couple of years, I've been at least I feel like I'm in the right direction. And then meeting you and Kyle, and it's interesting again because of our community, meeting those that have already became a pilot or have already are a pilot.
Mhm.
It just has been refreshing to see that I can I can learn from them as well. Like I like the word compassion, so I don't need to be so hard on it. If it feels overwhelming, just step back. And even that analogy with we learned in the firewalking is that insight of um, what's the word? So it's like we know where we want to go, but realize that there's
Iteration.
iterations, there's little spots, and that's then I was able to relate that to being a pilot, to be because even as a pilot, you're flying, you have a destination, but the wind's blowing you, and you have to take that in consideration. So that's part of the technique of flying is learning how to iterate yourself as you like if you're getting
Exactly.
blown off this way you got to redirect your plane back over to this line, and so you're really not flying in a straight line. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where I'm learning to relate that to me in my own personal travel or adventure in mortality is that, hey, I just have to realize that that's the destination out there,
Mm.
enjoy the moment. And if I get blown off, then reiterate. Is
That's
that right?
right. Oh, that's
Okay.
beautiful. That helps you have so much acceptance for
Yeah,
the
I love
present
the
moment
analogy.
too. Oh, that's great. Okay, so think about someone that is now in the position where you used to be. They might be stuck, they might be going through a divorce, they might be super hard and critical on themselves, or they might have a hard time letting go or forgiving of something they don't even know is there. What would you say directly to them so that they can find hope and be able to maybe see value in this program or share with them your transformation in a way that would inspire them?
What I would like to say is it reemphasized that you're not alone. And so we don't need to beat ourselves up, and then realize that by being in this community, you're going to learn from because you guys have also been through. I mean, to me, when you guys open up with what you've been through, that's also helped comfort me. When it comes to relationships and marriage and stuff, I'm like going, I've struggled. I feel like I struggled extra on that, but it's like just knowing that you're not alone, and I feel comfortable. Everybody that I've got to know in our community, we could get together, and so like when you're collaborating with other programs as well, I've felt that's benefited as well. So I would like to invite them to do that, be a part of that.
Awesome. Thank you. That's super awesome. I love seeing your transformation and your growth and all the ways that you are digging deep into really finding those answers. I love your desire to grow. It's so huge and so big, and your joy for life. So that's one of the things that makes you an amazing part of our community. So thank you for sharing all of that. Thank you so much, Jeff.